Hello everybody, this is Hyatt from Hyatt, and today I'm going to be talking about my Fender Stratocaster. I'm going to be going over it, kind of reviewing it a bit, my experience with Fender Stratocasters, and really just my experience with, mainly my limited experience with guitars in general. Kind of just talk about it a little bit. So, now this is because I'm going over this right now because, well, I'm still working on the language video, which is supposed to be over the Italic languages. I'm still working on that. I'm still in the process of working on Flags, the Flags fucking series that's going on. I'm currently at a bit of a stand-hold because I'm trying not to spend so much money on stuff. And again, it would be nice if I had a whiteboard to just draw it out and kind of show you what I'm talking about. But you know, whatever. Then I'm also waiting on going on trips and stuff to different states so I can get the flag patches there and stuff, maybe even the flags themselves. But in any case, on to what this video is about. Which this video is about the Fender Stratocaster. So let's go over the Fender Stratocaster and kind of talk about, well, I guess the very beginning, what the fuck is a Fender Stratocaster? Or rather, when was a Fender? Or, well, when did the company start? When did Fender musical instruments, when did that start? So the company Fender Musical Instruments, which was originally called Fender Electric Musical Instruments, was started in 1946 by Leo Fender himself, by the man himself, Leo Fender. The man who did not know how to play guitar, by the way. Leo Fender did not know how to play guitar, but he still made guitars anyways, with his debut guitar being the Fender Telecaster, the very first electric guitar made by Fender in 1950. The Stratocaster would go on to be made in, I believe, 1954, just literally 4 years after he made the Telecaster. Which, obviously, the Stratocaster is one of the most revolutionary designs in guitar history, pretty much. And so was the Telecaster, too. The Telecaster was also very much so revolutionary innovation in guitars. Everything known for its very much so very clean sound. It's very clean sound. It's easy. It's comfortability. It's easy playability too. And just overall, it's really, in my opinion, it's a really good starter guitar if you want to get into like more expensive stuff. At least from my knowledge, I believe Fender guitars are typically a little bit more expensive than like the shitty like Ibanez guitars and whatnot you'll find. And these guitars can play pretty much anything you want. These were originally meant for, I think it's jazz and like early rock, with notable guitarists like Eric Clapton and Jimi Hendrix choosing the Telecaster over other brands like Gibsons and like Gibson Les Pauls, or I guess in Tony Iommi's case, Gibson SG, and so on and so forth. So I guess with that being said, the Telecaster hasn't really changed all that much. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the Telecasters have. Did I say Telecaster? Stratocaster. I'm going to say Stratocaster. Stratocasters haven't changed that much, to my knowledge at least. And if my memory serves me correctly, I believe that Stratocasters were always given the option to either have or not have a whammy bar. Which, if you don't know what a whammy bar is, it's essentially this little thing that goes like right here on your fretboard. Like, is that what it's called? Fretboard? I don't care. I don't have the brain capacity to give a fuck right now. It goes. It's a little bar that goes right here that kind of controls like the pitch of what you're playing a little bit, and the pitch of the sound that comes out when you're strumming strings. So basically, it's like what makes Dimebag Darrell's infamous fucking, horse squealing sound effects whenever he's playing. Or in other cases, or I guess other bands' cases, I think Slayer has used it once or twice for some of their songs. I don't know, it's all I had, but clearly I am somewhat knowledgeable in it. Not that super into it knowledgeable, but knowledgeable enough to at least kind of talk about it a little bit. So Stratocasters they're always going to be a 6-string guitar. Again, these guitars were made for stuff like jazz and rock and like really early rock and maybe some country. And you see so many bands playing with a Stratocaster. So many. It's easily one of the most popular guitars out there. And again, like I said, from my own personal experience, this is a really good beginner guitar. I highly recommend that people get this as a beginner guitar. That's what I've learned off of, and personally, I don't have that much experience with guitars, but this is a good guitar. But this guitar is a very good guitar to learn off of. It's very comfortable. It's not really that hard to really learn how to maintain it and play it. And also, it's really highly customizable too if you are not that new into guitars, or if you're well experienced in guitars. These are really highly customizable too. On the Fender shop, you can make so many different wild customizations. You can put a whammy bar on it. You can not put a whammy bar on it. You could have it in black and like all black with brass. You can put it all black with like chrome. I think you can make the fretboard. I think maybe make fretboard brass too. I think, but like not really. Like you can give it the color brass, but not really brass. You can change the different type of wood types on this. I mean, all guitars are modifiable to some extent. But on the Fender website, at least from my experience, they make it very easy to kind of decide what you want your ideal guitar to be, dressed up as. And obviously, Fender doesn't just make Telecasters and Stratocasters. They also make acoustic guitars too. I don't know how many of you know that, but they do make acoustic guitars. Even though they are originally a electric guitar company, they do make they do make acoustics too. I don't own an acoustic Fender, but I don't really like the acoustic guitar that much, so what can I say? But in any case, so I guess let's talk about Mines. Mines is a 2022 black with a white pickboard Fender Stratocaster. I've been playing this thing since, 2022, obviously, so for a few years now. And this guitar has taught me a lot about how to maintain guitars and really just how to properly take care of them. Well, not properly, but how to somewhat properly take care of them, and really just how to play guitar in general. They're so much lighter. They're actually very, very light, believe it or not. They look kind of heavy, and when you pick them up, maybe for the first few times, they might be a little heavy, but they're actually quite light, believe it or not. It's just shocking to say because a little unknown fact to some people, this is made of completely out of wood. Yes, this is made out of wood. It doesn't look like it's made out of wood. That's probably just the paint on it that makes it look like it's not made of wood. I think I have a scratch on here somewhere. Yeah, no way you're going to be able to see that. There should be a scratch like right there. That's wood. So yeah, this guitar is made of complete wood, which is why it seems kind of heavy at first. But the more and more you hold it and play with it, the lighter it gets. Because that's just how calisthenics works, I guess. Sorry, my throat's a little dry. But so it's my own personal guitar, so I can do whatever I want to it. And what I decided to do was I put some stickers on it. I got these Till Valhalla Project stickers, which if you don't know what Till Valhalla Project is, it's basically it's a charity. It's a charity organization that helps out wounded and just overall veterans. Really, it just helps out veterans with whatever financial problems they're having, really, and it also helps bring memorial items to the loved ones of deceased veterans too, or I guess the deceased. It's a pretty good company in my opinion. I've had nothing but good experiences with ordering stuff off of their website. I have a lot more shirts and hoodies and so much other trinkets I've gotten from them. I've had a lot of good experiences with them. Their shipment timing is a little long, but I think they're based out in Jacksonville, Florida, or something like that, somewhere around there. So I can't really blame them for taking forever to ship my stuff, or what stuff I buy off of them. But yeah, no, Tavella Project, they're pretty cool. Go check them out. They got some pretty cool stuff on there if you're interested in it. You know, all goes to veterans too. Charity organization, all goes to veterans. All that money goes to helping them. But in any case, so yeah, outside of that, I guess we'll talk about the strings. The strings I have on here are standard 10 to 46, or I guess 0.1 to 0.46 strings on here. So that would be 0.1 to 0.46 the thickness, string thickness. I actually dropped a gauge, or dropped about 2 gauges down from what I was using previously. Because what I was using previously, it was like 0.12 to 0.49 or 0.48. And then before that, I was using 0.11 to 0.48. And now I'm right back at standard with 0.1 to 0.46. Yeah, 0.46, that's right. Oh, no. Yeah, that's right, yeah, 0.46. But yeah, speaking of that, whenever you buy a Fender Stratocaster, or any guitar really, they're all going to come in standard strings. So if you're new to guitar, they're all going to come in standard 0.1 to 0.46 gauge strings. Now, what's the difference between the different gauges of strings? Like the the lighter medium gauge, the light standard gauge, to like what I was using, heavy gauge. Really, all it does is changes the tension you're going to get. It's going to change how much tension you need to put onto the strings. It's going to change how much tension you're going to need to play the strings or strum them. How much tension they can handle when it comes to tuning. Specifically with they're really made, like heavier gauge strings are really made with the intent of drop tuning. It's like if you really want to get a consistent, you know, drop D or drop C or drop G tuning, you're gonna want the heavy strings, the heavy gauge strings, because the light gauge strings are gonna pop because they're not gonna be able to hold enough tension to really get down to that level. Or maybe they will, but they're not gonna stay in tune very much, and they'll probably pop over a couple of times strumming them. So it's like, if you really want to get that really heavy, like brutal death metal sound or deathcore sound, depending on what you like, or grindcore, if you really want to get down to that nitty gritty heavy sound, that really heavy tone, you're gonna want those really heavy strings, those really thick gauge strings. Or if you're just into like hard rock, rock and roll, rockabilly, jazz, or anything else, then standard light or light strings, medium strings, those will all work. Sorry, again, dry throat. Yeah, those strings will all work out, and that's what this is meant for anyways. What does it sound like when it's clean and not using so much overload distortion like I do? Yeah, it sounds about like a guitar. I don't know. It sounds like how it does when it's unplugged, except it's just amplified, because that's what an amp is for. Which these do come with amps. They come with Fender amps. They're not the greatest amps in the world, and I've had a good experience with them so far, but I can't complain about them. They're just meh amps. And the cable that comes with, for me, wore out mostly. I gotta get a new cable to replace it, but it still kind of works, but not much. Sometimes I'll have freakouts where if you bend it in a certain way, it just won't work. So it's like, yeah, the cables kind of suck, but I mean, the amp's mostly fine. There's an overdrive setting to amplify the distortion. You can get distortion pedals and so on and so forth. And it doesn't have a whole lot of like settings on it for changing stuff like your gain, for changing. I mean, it has a gain switch, but a gain switch. It's got a dial for the gain and everything, but it doesn't really change. Like, it doesn't really have a tone dial on it, because tone dials are on here, not on there. They're on here. This has its own volume dial too, as with most guitars do, but as you'll notice, it only goes up to about, where can you see it? Yeah, there we go. It only goes up to 10, not 11. So, you know, it's not cool in the eyes of grindcore headbangers, because it doesn't go up to 11, it goes up to 10 or 12. But yeah, outside of that, I mean, I don't know, it's just, it's an alright guitar. It's built nice, it's lasting for me quite a while, and I've been fairly rough on this guitar, and it's still together. I mean, I've had to dismantle and put it back together a little bit here and there just to tweak some things, just to keep it operational. But yeah, I mean, I don't really know what else to say. I've kind of got over everything. It's an alright guitar. I guess before I get off, don't expect this to be a regular thing with me reviewing guitars. I don't have that kind of money. This hobby is incredibly expensive, and anybody who's in this hobby like me is fucking psychotic and retarded, because this is a lot of money we have to dump into this shit just to be happy with the hobby. But hey, it's fun if you can play guitar, which I don't really play guitar very well, so I don't know if you'll ever see me playing guitar or not, but yeah. Hey guys, have a good day. I might post another video today. Who knows? We'll see. Yeah, have a good day, everybody.